Hello, viewers. You're welcome to our favorite family show, The Living Room, right here on Equa Television. In the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about starting a business, entrepreneurship, and all that. And one of the questions that arose from last week's program was what people should do when they have debt issues, if they are owing, they have many creditors, how will they pay tax? And so such questions came up last week. So we decided this week to delve more into the issues of debt, to talk about debt, its prevention and solutions, because we've talked about some of these things today to focus on the issue of debt and then to help us to be able to prevent going into debt and how to solve our debt problems if we're already there. My name is Amaka Ocheke, and on the screen here with me today is a brother, Ayuba Yilgaka. Yes, Ayuba Yilgaka. Ayuba is a writer, he's a public affairs commentator, and he's a PhD candidate in economics at the University of Jos. So you can see his head is full of books. So you'll be here with me discussing this issue. So just, to get around the grammar of it, when we say debt, okay, I think the proper English pronunciation is debt. The B is silent. What do we mean by
that? Thank you very much for the opportunity to feature on your program. I appreciate it so much.
Yes, you're welcome, Ayuba. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much. Debt is the obligation to pay monies owed an individual, organization, and what have you.
Okay, so once you are owing,
yes,
you are in debt.
You are a debtor. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not individuals can owe. I hear exactly. Organizations owe too.
Exactly.
And countries owe.
Exactly.
So do you think is it a good thing to owe? Because somebody complained to me some time ago that someone was owing, and she went to ask the person for her money.
Okay.
And the person says, please don't give me stress because I'm not the only one owing. Even America owes. So why are you bothering me? So is it, if America owes, yes. Does it mean that it's not a good thing to owe people?
Thank you very much. Debt itself is not a crime.
Okay.
A debtor is not a thief. Approach the creditor, and on the basis of their agreement, the debt is given. So to start with, debt itself is not a crime.
Okay.
And when we discuss issues of debt, we look at it at different levels. We look at it at the individual level, at the business level, even family level, and of course at the national level and international level. So the need for debt to start with is majorly and primarily for people who are interested in doing businesses to access funds that are required to invest in the business.
Okay.
Anything outside that is by the way, and is not encouraging to start with.
Okay, so that means if we're not about to start a business or something that will bring more revenue,
yes,
debt is not something we should go into.
For. Exactly.
Okay, so I want us to start on the individual level before we now go to the business aspect of it.
Okay.
What are the kind of things that make people go into debt?
Thank you very much. Several things can make one go into business, but like I said,
go into debt.
Yes, debt.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. First is the desire to create value. The desire to create value. Outside that, there could be situation that may arise for individual to go into debt. For instance, if you are constrained and then possibly you are sick, and you have no means of accessing health, sometimes you go out of your way to go for debt. But on a normal day, debt primarily is for investment.
Okay.
To create value.
Okay. Over time, we've had certain discussions,
Yes.
Raising points here and there about how to make sure that we are, I don't know how you say it in economic term, but that's our personal and family balance sheet, in quotes,
Yes.
is on the positive. What is
Yeah.
that? That means that we're not owing.
Yes.
Yes. So things that we need to do to make sure that we are on that side. And I think one of the things that we've been told here, I think it was when Professor Madu was here,
Yes, sir.
talked about one, that when we get our salaries or our monies or our returns from our businesses, we don't spend everything.
Exactly.
That
You
we
say
must save a
part
certain
of it.
percentage of
Exactly.
it, tithe a certain percentage of it as Christians, and use a certain percentage to solve one or two things. And one of the reasons she gave for saving is to help you invest in a business, and then also to have something to fall back on a rainy day. Like you said, maybe people fall ill and they need some money to take care, because some of these eventualities are not planned for. You don't know when they would occur, but it's good to always have something set aside so that when these problems come, you fall back on that.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things we were told, and I'm not sure if all of us are practicing what we were told, then viewers. I hope we're doing that, but I think if we can do that, I think that would go a long way to help us have something to tide us through during
Yes.
emergencies,
Yes.
or when they are not, like ASU now has not been paid for. So people who are ASU members, it's been tight. So if you have no savings, it will be a problem.
Difficult.
I don't know, maybe you can speak to that about saving.
Okay. Thank you very much. There are three major motives for holding money. One is for transactionary purpose, that is everyday transactions. Two is for precautionary purposes, eventualities may come up, and then the third one is for investment purposes. So as an economic agent, I want to call our viewers economic agents, whether you are operating at the individual level, at the firm level, or even government level. You are an economic agent. So for an economic agent, you are expected to be rational. And rationality demands that you operate within the means that is available to you. And in that case, you need to take note of what is a necessity and what is not. Now, when you are able to figure out what necessities are and what they are not, then you are in a better position to actually start your economic life properly. So the idea is that for those who are interested in going into businesses, your earnings should be rationalized in such a manner that part of it goes into consumption and then part of it goes into saving that will lead to investment in your business going forward.
I like the way you say it, that we should be rational.
Thank you very
So that means if we're not doing what is right, we're being irrational.
Exactly.
And that is not a nice adjective to describe any of us, that we're being irrational when we're not planning and using money well.
Exactly.
So you said we need to use we need to know what is a necessity.
Yes.
So when you say necessity, what do you mean by that?
Thank you very much. You know, in life, there are things that when you don't have, life ceases to exist. So you need them to sustain your life. For instance, if your source of food is curtailed, what happens going forward? You die naturally. You need a shade to stay under. You know, when that is not happening, then your life is reduced to life in a jungle, and that too is not good. So necessities are those things that are required to sustain one's life in a manner that he will not run out of life. Okay. That is a necessity. And there's a difference between necessity and want. Wants are those things that it's like an icing on the cake. You have something to fall back on, but you want to make
like
it
Jara?
in such exactly.
Okay.
And of course, if you don't have those wants met, that will not be the end of your life.
It won't change anything. Life
exactly.
goes on.
Life goes on.
So we need to identify what necessities are and what the Jara is. Those are
very
luxuries.
Good ones.
So necessities will be food.
Yes.
Food, shelter, clothing.
Thank you
basic necessities of life are those things we should be looking at.
Exactly.
And then we must learn to live within our means.
Our means, exactly.
So in other words, if, for example, my salary is, let's say, 50,000 naira.
Yes.
It will be foolhardy of me to send my children to a school where the school fees is 200,000.
Exactly.
It will also be foolish of me to leave the eating of tuwo and rice, and then we should not start going looking for exotic food.
Exactly.
Maybe we now want to start buying champagne and things like that when our salaries are still 50,000 naira. Or you want to buy designer clothes.
Yes.
That would not be
encouraging
that would not be encouraging. So you need to limit yourself to what you need and what your salary can afford.
Thank you very much. I have always advised that if you are a worker and you are in grade level 8, for instance, I encourage people to live a level 6, level 5 life.
Okay, so you need
strategy,
to live below
your grade level.
Okay.
That is the strategy. If that is done, at least there is something to save for the rainy day, like we said. And for those who want to go into business, what is saved from the balance that accrues from that strategy of living below your grade level will help you to at least start something.
Okay.
That's the idea.
So in thinking this through, as you've said and we've been talking, it means that no matter what happens, we shouldn't allow society to pressure us into being what you are not.
Exactly.
So, for example, you say, okay, people think that because, as you said, because you are at this level, you have said we should live like 2 grades below our level. Then people say, oh no, Ayuba, you're a level 8 officer. You can afford this. Why can't you buy it? What is wrong with you? It's like you're very stingy. You're, as they say, erudite. Your hand is erudite.
Yes.
It's gummy. You need to free it and spend.
Yeah.
We shouldn't allow pressure.
That should be discouraged. I will tell you a story. There's this man that works with one of the establishments. I don't want to mention the name of the establishment.
Don't mention the establishment.
He shared an experience with me. There's this other colleague of his that came from his village, and they were working in the same place. But each time he goes to the village, the community people will be saying, what kind of job you're doing? Look at your colleagues. He is doing A, B, and then you are not measuring up.
Pressure everywhere.
So they are like, he is stingy and the other person is liberal. But that may not actually be the case. The responsibilities varies. So you have to measure your status within the context of the responsibility you carry as an individual. If that is not done, you are likely going to run into troubles because our responsibilities are not the same, and we must take note of that.
So I've noticed that, as you said, part of the problem is that people live above their means.
Exactly.
So after a while, they in Nigerian parlance, they
Yeah,
jam rock.
They jam rock, yeah.
Then you now need to borrow
Borrow,
or take some things on credit
yes,
to be able to meet up.
exactly.
And then it just keeps building and building till you find yourself deeply in debt,
Yes,
indebted to so many
to
people,
so many people.
and then stress.
the stress.
Your stress level goes
Will
up.
increase.
So from what you have said and what we have been discussing, it means that we must find ways, you know, as you said, living within our means, we must find ways to make sure that the money we have,
Yes,
in quotes, takes us home.
exactly.
So you said live two grades below your grade.
Your grade level, yeah.
And then I think planning
Very,
goes
very
a long way to help us. Planning.
Exactly,
So
yes.
I think Professor Madu had also told us at the time that we need to have a monthly plan, weekly plan of how you need to spend your money,
Yes.
so that you remain within your budget.
Your
Because
budget,
if you sometimes go to the market with money with no plan, once you see something, say, this is nice, so
Yeah,
you buy.
you
This
just
is
buy.
nice, so you buy.
Thank
Then
you
by the
very
time you are done, you haven't bought what you want to buy. You spent more money than you budgeted.
Yes.
Because you've bought other things that
Other
are
things
not
that are not
needed,
actually needed.
and then you run into trouble. So we need to plan.
Exactly.
Yeah, before-
Planning is very, very important. I read a book recently, and the book is, I may not get the title correctly, but it's talking about, you know, living half the cost of your life. Living half the cost of your life. What is that telling you? Planning will help you to circumvent problems that ordinarily would have come up if the planning session is not taken seriously. So you can, or we can state the importance of planning when it comes to financial issues. You need to plan, and the plan may take a weekly time period, monthly, quarterly, and even annually. You could have those plans depending on the context within which you are operating. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think for those paying school fees, I think you need to do annual planning. Because school
exactly.
fees, I think, are a heavy part of our expenditure. So you need to
Exactly.
plan the whole year to know that this year, school fees will take 100,000 for one
Exactly.
child. So maybe if we have 4 children or 5 children, it's
Yes.
going to take 500,000.
Yes.
So you need to see how you run the year
Exactly.
to know what to do.
Exactly.
So this planning now, it means that we have to write.
Definitely.
This planning is not in our head.
Planning is not done arbitrarily. It requires putting paper to pen. You have to write, and in writing this, you have to also take note of the fact that, like I said earlier, our means are not the same. You know, sometimes our plannings could be overambitious. Overambitious in the sense that your means are not adding up, but because you want to, you know, measure up with other classes within the social
Want to
system.
meet up with the Joneses.
Thank you. You go into what we call over-ambitious plan, and that should be discouraged by all means.
But I think since we're writing down,
Yes.
So what you are planning for your expenditure
Yes, should be
must
feasible.
also agree with your income.
Yes.
You must agree with your income because you know how much you're earning, or at least you can estimate how much you have been earning if you're a business person.
Yes.
So you can't just, out of the blues, just decide that you want to make a budget of 1 million.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, your salary is 200,000.
Remember, we started with the idea of rationality. There are situations where people will go out of their means to make plannings that are bogus and far beyond their means. Sometimes just to feed the ego, to meet up with what others are doing. And that is where the problem is. So in fact, in most cases, you find people exhibiting a high level of irrationality.
Wow.
The monies are not there, even to augment from other sources, not there. But then, just because you've seen others done it, you want to run into the same shoe with them. And that has always been the problem with us.
So if we're having bogus plans and
Yes.
bogus ambitions, we're being irrational.
Very, very
Very
irrational,
strong
yes.
word
Yeah.
he's telling us
It's
now.
very irrational.
So we need to live within our means.
Yes,
And let's remember, scripture says that godliness with contentment is
Yes,
great gain. So we can't be like others.
not at
Everybody has his own path.
Exactly.
And you must live within your own
Your
means.
own
You can't
means, yes.
judge and plan your life, or I can't judge and plan my life based on your own
not
life.
at
So I
all,
say I
that-
want to be like Ayuba.
not-
You know,
not at
somebody had told me some years ago, I had a junior staff in my office. And I noticed he always had financial challenges. He was
Challenges,
always owing. People were always coming to the office to say, look, he's owing us pay. So I noticed some things he was doing. So I sat him down and I said, look, you need to be realistic about this your life.
Exactly.
This is how much you earn.
And yes.
You first of all, I noticed you spend a lot of money on clothing for kids. I see him taking, you know, in the office, there are always
In the
people who bring things for people
yeah,
to
of
buy
course,
on
you
credit.
buy on
I
credit,
said, you
yeah.
buy so many things. That was Christmas period. You buy so many things for your children. I know that we want, to make our children look good. We want to, all that. But I think it's a bad time to buy so many clothes
things,
for
yeah.
your children on credit because you want them to do Christmas dress. People must not do Christmas. In my house, I don't do Christmas dress with my children. In short, I've made sure they don't know anything about it. One time, one of my children came home from school and was like, oh, my friends, they are buying Christmas clothes for them. What of our own? So I asked her, I said, whose birthday are we celebrating? She said, Jesus. I said, when Jesus was born, what did he wear? Was he not swaddling clothes in a manger? I told her, you cannot dress more than the person who has the birthday.
Not at
So
all.
forget about that. Exactly. And that's how I kill that. So I tried to buy them clothes, but that pressure, Christmas time, I don't do that pressure with them. I don't give myself pressure about that. So I told him, I said, this is what I do. So you try and don't put yourself under so much pressure so that you're not owing more and more people. And then apparently the other challenge you seem to have is the issue of school fees.
School fees, yeah.
I said, if you have to borrow to pay school fees, that means your children are in a school you cannot afford.
Yeah.
So why don't you remove them and put them in a school that you can afford? He says he wants his children to have good education. I said, all parents want children to have good education. But God knows where you are.
Exactly.
And children have come out successful from all sorts of backgrounds. Children have grown up in the village, went to village schools and have done well.
Exactly.
Is that let's, just do your best, teach them what you can, do your best and pray. God will help you. That didn't go down well with him. I said, but your children are going to good schools. I said, I'm taking my children to a school I can afford.
Yes.
There are also some schools I can't take my children to because I can't afford it.
Exactly.
Well, he wasn't happy with what I had to say, but I think that school fees too is a major issue. That's because I see sometimes, like when my children were in primary school, the school they were at, people, when it's time to pay fees and people have not paid, teachers wait at the gate, turning parents back with their kids, for owing. And I'm like, what an embarrassment. Why should I put myself in this kind of, embarrassment? So I noticed that school fees is also one area that makes a lot of people indebted.
Yes.
So I think people should put their children in schools that they can afford.
Affordable. You see, we are living in very difficult times. It's not even after, we are still running into the session of COVID-19. We also have problems that has to do with recession. Nations that were once
Affluent
great
nations
are now, coming down with very serious austerity problems. So that should tell us that we are living in times that are not to be pretended about. There are times that we should wear our thinking caps and begin to come out real with the realities of contemporary times. If you have a family, I think your intention to give them the best is on its own something to be celebrated, and not for you to try to do things that will bring embarrassment to the family. It's good to plan big for your family, but if the means are not there and you have to go out of your way to borrow and to fit that ambition, then you are wrong. It's just a matter of time. You bring shame and embarrassment to the family, and that should not be encouraged at all. Even as Christians, that should be discouraged by all means. I went to a local school, and I trekked a distance to go to that place. Today I'm running my PhD.
Yeah.
And what about it? You see, sometimes we tend to play God in a lot of things. If God is involved in our situation, it is not how big or which big school you take your children to that will make them great people. The most important thing is to acknowledge the fact that the grace to have these children comes from God himself. So the God that gave them to you will help, even in the process of looking after them.
And God knows what situation you are at when he sent these children to you. So we must have faith that this God who brought them to us is able to take them the long distance.
To the next level. Yes.
So we do our best. We train them in the way of the Lord.
Exactly.
Do the best with the resources available to us. But we shouldn't go beyond becoming indebted, and being embarrassed.
Not encouraging at all. That should not be.
Then aside from school fees, which I think we've talked about, the fact that parents want their children to do, to have the best, but we need to be rational in deciding what is best in our own circumstance.
Exactly.
I think some other things people also do, maybe as you said, to try to conform to pressure from society to meet up or to live a certain kind of life, is that some people, even from little things, you want to wear certain kind of clothes. You feel that since your friends and people are wearing maybe designer clothes, you're using designer perfume, you must have those kind of things. You must have designer bags, shoes, so that when people see you, they are hailing you and all that. I think we should
downplay all those
we should cut
excesses. I call them excesses.
And we mustn't do what everybody is doing.
Not at all. Not at all. We are different. We are different. I'll tell you an experience I had with one of my cousin sisters. She came to me at certain times and look at my phone and said, "This phone is not for you. This phone is not for you." But that time I was battling with how to raise my school fees and
so phone was the least of your problems.
Phone was not an issue for me. I needed that school fees more than anything else. So when she was mentioning that, I just laughed over it.
I know, interestingly, when it comes to this phone, many people have phones that they are not using even half of the functions on the phone. It's just status symbol.
Exactly.
and it doesn't make
It
sense.
doesn't
That you are
make
not
sense.
eating, you can't pay school
You
fees,
can't pay school
and you
fees
have
and
a
you
phone
go
of
for a
300,000.
bogus phone just for the fantasy of it. That is absolutely wrong. And
What's
should not
that
be
word you
encouraged.
said is
Absolutely wrong. Yeah.
the word you've been using? You said we should
Okay.
be
Rational.
rational. That's
Very good.
irrational.
Rationality.
When you are trying to
Yes.
buy a big phone, meanwhile you
Yes,
don't have food, you don't have
food.
school fees.
And you don't have the money to even load the phone.
That's crazy.
Do you know what? This phone thing, as good as it may be for us, now if you take stock of the monies you spend loading your phone for, say, a week, a month, quarter of a year, and a year, you'll be surprised how much you've spent on phone. So if you don't have something worthwhile to do with phone, I think making calls and receiving calls is enough for you.
Yeah.
You don't just load for the sake of it and then do things that are completely irrational. And then when you get to the other side of the year, should somebody take stock of what you have spent, you will be like, wow, I've been a foolish man or a foolish woman.
And you have not settled important issues.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then now that the federal government are here, we're about to increase tariffs for phone calls. They've been talking about those.
It has increased, by the way.
Wow.
It has increased, and then a lot of people are paying through their nose.
Wow.
You load 1,000 naira data and
nothing
before
to show.
you know it.
So we'll go on break. Viewers will go on break. When we get back, our number will be on the screen so that you could phone in to make your contribution to this conversation. So we're going on break and we'll come back and continue the issue of debt, prevention, and the solution.
Equa TV Africa keeps you lifted 24/7. Fixes your day and makes it fulfilled with messages of hope and salvation.
Sin and the devil, they always work hand in hand together.
Christ too and the ministry of the Lord also will be promoted.
This aspect of David's experience we read in our passage of consideration brings this situation very near to ours.
He is majestic in holiness. Praise the Lord.
Groundbreaking shows for every life situation.
Parents don't tell lies because that's always a problem.
But in the north, we have abandoned education.
If you ask me to do anything for Nigeria, please equip me.
It feels great being on Never Ending Platform.
Heaven gifted songs to lift your spirit up, pull you out of worry, fear, sadness, and even depression. Keep watching Equa TV Africa. Follow us on all our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the notification button to keep up with our activities.
Okay, welcome back, viewers, from our break. We have been here at the living room on Equa Television, and I've been here with Ayuba Yilgaka talking about debt, prevention, and solution. Now, we've talked a lot of things, or we've said a lot of things about why people are in debt and the fact that we need to be rational in our decision making, in our planning, and the things that we desire to have, so that we live within our means. And Ayuba had told us here too that if you are a level 8 officer, for example, you should be living a level 6 life so that you can save and use your money saved to go do ventures, to do invest, and also to have seed money for emergencies, so that you don't have to borrow when some emergency comes up. These are some of the things we have discussed about preventing our being in debt. We've also talked about planning the schools our children go to. We should put our children in schools that are within our means. We want to give them the best, but God knows where you are, and you cannot do beyond what you can afford at a time if you don't want to create embarrassment for yourself. And then we shouldn't allow ourselves to be subject to peer
Social
pressure, social
yeah.
pressure, trying to be what we are not. We've also we had agreed before we went on break that we'll put our number on the screen so that you could call in and make your comments as the program goes on. Yes, the number is there. And then you can also post your comments on our Facebook page while the program is going on. So now we've talked a lot about the things that make us go into debt. Now, if we're already in debt, Ayuba, I'm owing. I'm owing 20,000 here, 30,000 here, 50,000 here. I'm just owing people all over the place. At the end of the day, Ayuba, my debt, what I'm owing people now is like 300,000. How do I get out? My debtors are calling. They are disturbing.
Yes.
How do I get out? Do I borrow from other people to pay the people I'm owing? So and I keep borrowing, because that's what some people do. You borrow, pay. You are just a serial borrower and debtor and all that. Yes. So what do? I want, for viewers who want to get out of debt one time forever. We don't want to be living this stressful life.
Yes. Actually, when debt is obtained, it starts like a mustard seed. But then the kind of habit we cultivate as economic agents could run us into more debt that will be difficult to pay. Be that as it may, to come out of debt starts first and foremost with the change of attitude.
Okay.
Change of attitude is very important. The attitude that propelled you into going to debt that you cannot pay needs to be resetted. And once that is done, then the other strategy to come out of it starts. First and foremost, incomes are generated through many sources, and what is normally encouraged when it comes to paying back debt is what we call diversifying the source of one's income. That is very important. But in doing that, you first of all have to outline or list those things that are very important for you as an individual or as a debtor, and then begin to cut down on your expenses. Because if you want to maintain the same level of expenditure as it were when you go for those debts, you are likely not going to come out of it. So adjustment is very important.
So you need to cut out every unnecessary thing.
Every unnecessary expenditure if you really want to come out of it.
Yeah.
That is where attitude is very important. So when you adjust on that, of course, you'll be making some savings that ordinarily you should have spent on things that had run you into debt. And that way, you could gradually work your way out of the debt.
Yes.
But then in doing that too, you need to plan to settle the debt within a time period.
So that means you have to have a plan.
You have to have a plan. Plan is very important.
I think while also doing that,
yes,
you have to. It will be good to also speak with the people you are owing.
Exactly.
To say that this is the plan that I have,
yes,
and this is how I want to pay.
Instead
Instead of ignoring and pretending nothing, because that's what some people do. They pretend as if they have forgotten that they are owing you, and I think that arouses a lot of bitterness and animosity and spoils relationships.
Exactly.
So I think if you are owing,
yes,
you should talk with the people you are owing to say, look,
definitely,
I'm sorry I haven't been able to pay but this is the plan I have, and
yes,
I'm looking at within so and so time.
Yes.
And if it doesn't work the way, still talk to the people.
Talk to them.
So that they know that you still have this at the back of your mind to pay.
Exactly.
And we must pay our debt as Christians.
Exactly.
Because the Bible says it's the wicked man that borrows and doesn't pay. So I don't think any Christian should be described as wicked. So if we are owing, we should pay. Make effort to pay.
You have said something very important that I ought to have mentioned, and that is the fact that you need to communicate. You know, it irritates when you are owing and then you ignore your creditor as if nothing happened.
Nothing happened, yeah.
You know, when the time you gave them to pay back the debt had passed and nothing is happening, you know, we're humans, it gets them irritated. So you need to communicate with them and your plans for them to see the feasibility of
what
the
you
plan
want to do.
Exactly. If that is not done, you know, because you have defaulted and you are not showing any effort, they will not be happy.
Because I think Christians is not
Yes.
even think, is no.
Yes.
As Christians, we must be people of integrity.
Exactly.
You know, and Psalm 15, I think, says, who shall, when it talks about who shall ascend to the hill of the Lord,
yes,
is one of the things that he that sweareth to his own hurt and
yes.
faileth not. So in
Yes.
other words, if you make a promise as a Christian, you must keep it.
To that promise.
You must keep
to
it.
that promise.
So if you are owing and you're
Yes.
supposed to pay people,
Yes.
you must keep it. And if for any reason, as you say, you can't pay at that time,
Yeah.
keep communicating.
Communicate.
Keep the communication
Communicate,
lines
yes.
open so that people still see you as a person of
As
integrity.
person of integrity. You know, in fact, you might have the best of plan, even at the point of borrowing. But sometimes other issues may come up and then you, a man of integrity indeed, but then you cannot pay your debt. What will save you out of that situation is to maintain the flow of information, communication between
Yeah.
yourselves.
And then if people
Yes.
know that you are
You are
been a person of
genuine.
integrity,
Yes.
they will know that there's a problem. That's why you
Exact-
haven't been able
exactly,
to pay.
Exactly.
For me, I remember one time we went for a conference with a colleague of mine, and to pay at the conference venue, they said they were not collecting card.
Okay.
I couldn't pay or do transfer. I
Yes.
think there was also network issue.
Network issues. Okay.
And I didn't have that amount of cash.
you
So a
see.
colleague of mine who went with me had, you know, the
Yeah,
cash. He said he
yeah.
was even looking for how to take it to the bank. So he gave me and I paid.
You see.
We came back to just, honestly, I totally forgot. I
It,
forgot.
it does happen.
So he didn't
It
say
does
anything. Then, like 2 weeks after, he goes,
Yes.
Ocheke. I just put my 2 hands on my head and like,
Yeah.
I was so embarrassed. I said,
does
please,
happen.
I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
I
It does
totally forgot.
Yes.
You know. But he didn't get annoyed because I haven't done that to
You
him
have
before.
not done that to him. You see, the antecedents of an individual could really save or even put him into the troubles. In fact, if your antecedent is such that people doubt your integrity, to start with, they might not even give you the debt, and that is not good for you. You know, integrity is like an asset.
Oh, yes.
It's a currency.
It's not
You
like
know,
it is a
very
currency.
good. It's a
an asset.
currency. It's a currency. So it is important for us to keep our integrity intact, and that way we can be helped in season and out of season.
And there are many
Yes.
times when you need your integrity to come in to play for many
Exactly.
things for you.
Exactly.
So we need to pay our debts.
Pay our debt.
So I think from what we have been discussing,
Yes.
paying our debts, coming
Yes.
out of debt means that we need to plan.
Yes.
We need to make up our minds that we want to pay.
We want to pay.
We want to pay.
Attitude.
Discuss with our creditors
Yes.
so that they know that there's a payment plan.
Payment plan,
And
yes.
then if our payment plan is not working, still continue
Continue to
the
discuss with
discussion.
them, yes.
Then we need to tighten our belts,
Tighten our belt and
reduce our expenses,
expenses.
so that we can have more
More
to pay. And then we
exactly.
may need to look at other streams of income.
Income.
So we may need to pick up a second job.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Yes. You see, in our places of work, sometimes overtime is allowed. And once you are indebted, the idea is that you need to go extra mile to pay back your debt. So you keep asking if there's room for anything over time, explore other
You can
means
take
of
on
getting-
giving lessons in the neighborhood.
Exactly, yeah,
Small things you
exactly.
can do
Small
to
things you can do that
bring
can
in small money
attract
here and
a
there.
stream of incomes into,
Okay.
you know, yeah.
So it's possible to get out of debt.
It's very, very
That's-
possible.
So it's
very
possible. So viewers,
Very
though,
possible.
we are saying if we are owing,
Yes.
it is possible to get out because
It
your
is very
integrity
possible.
is very important as a
Yes.
Christian. Because if you are owing in the neighborhood, if you want to sometimes preach the gospel,
Yes.
invite your neighbors to your programs, they'll just some people like, look at this one. That's owing all of
It's
us
owing
here.
and-
What a Christian you are. It's not a
Exactly.
good testimony.
It's not a good testimony.
So
at
we
all.
need our integrity, as he
Yes.
said, integrity is an asset.
Yes.
We need our integrity. So please,
Yes.
let's pay up our debts. Let's pay up our debts and try to stay out of debt. Now,
Very
before, as we are wrapping up the program, I
Yes.
just want to talk about those of us, well, those people in business. Let me
Yes.
not say those of us.
Yes.
How do we apply these principles of trying to keep out of debt as a business person?
Okay.
You've borrowed money for
Yes.
to start your venture,
Venture, yes.
and you need to pay back the
Back
money. You need to
money
pay
and
taxes.
yes.
How do we go about that to make
Oh.
sure that it happens?
Okay, you see, like I said, basically debt is meant to create value. And when you want to go for debt for business purposes, it is important for you to do at least a feasibility study. You know, ab initio, you should have a payment plan on how to pay back the loan or the money that has been collected in debt. If you have that plan ab initio, paying back the debt will not be an issue.
You
But-
know, just to take
Yes.
us back a bit,
Yes.
when in the episode when we were talking about having a business plan
Yes.
and all that,
Yes.
one of the things that I think it was Professor Madu that raised that,
Emphasize,
she
okay.
said that when people are doing their business plan and proposal,
Yes.
some people don't factor certain things inside.
Exactly.
They just talk about maybe the equipment and all that.
Equipment and-
But little
yes.
things like phone calls,
Phone calls
transportation
and all that are left out.
are left out.
Which is wrong.
Sometimes even salaries
Yes,
are
which
left
is-
out.
which
So
is-
at the end of the day, you are not breaking even because those things come in
things
and you didn't
come in
budget
and
for
you didn't
them.
budget for them.
So I think one of the ways to stay out of debt or
Yes.
being able to pay your debt in a
Yes,
business is that from inception,
Yes.
your plan must be real
Must be
and must encompass
must be
everything.
all encompassing to make sure that costs, the running costs of the business
Business is
are
there.
factored into the plan.
Okay,
so
so,
that, you
so
don't run
I
into
think to
trouble.
be able to do that, people need
Yes.
to talk with other people in the business, read around, think
exactly.
it through. It's not something you just, I just meet you and say, Ayuba, I want to start business. Today, I'll now tell you, okay, Ayuba, I want a dry cleaning business. You say, okay, I have some money I can give you. How much? I'll just say, okay, ironing board, washing machine, like this. Ayuba, I need 300,000.
You know,
I can't do that in a hurry. I need to sit down and think about it.
Business is not a 100 meters race. It's a relay.
Okay.
It's a relay. Build to last. There's a book like that.
Oh,
Build
okay.
to last. Now, if you are building to last, you must be meticulous even in your planning. And what that means is that you consult widely with people that are in the field to give you professional advice even in your planning process. If that is not done and then you run into it just because you have feelings for that particular business, you are bound to crash going forward. You may end up crashing. So planning is a thorough process that requires the input of experts within that business enterprise. That is very important. Once your planning is run through in manner that the right information is obtained, you are sure to success going forward. So that is encouraged, and I want to emphasize the fact that in business, don't assume. There's no room for assume. Business is practical.
So no assumption.
No
in
assumption.
business.
It has to be practical. You think through, you consult, and then you have it, to a very large extent, a concrete picture of what the business is likely going to be. Though there are eventualities that may come when you don't even plan for, but those are by the way. If you actually consult properly, you could minimize those eventualities that could run the business.
Okay, we have a call coming in.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello. We can hear you.
Yusuf, I'm calling from Bauchi State.
Okay. Well done, Yusuf.
I have a question for the guest.
Okay.
If I collected a debt
yes, sir.
of, let's say, 1 million naira, and I put it into farming, and at the end of the day, I couldn't recover from that, what do I do?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Ayuba will speak to that.
You collected a debt of a
million naira for farming
with the intention to pay back after the farming season, and then issues came up.
Like the yield was not good. Like somebody told me that this year potatoes didn't do so well. So assuming he invested in potatoes.
Yes, it does happen. You see, like we had said earlier, if you collected money for that purpose and then the issues came up and then the business could not work. Communication, we have said that and we are saying that again. I collected the money with this intention, having done my feasibility, but then flooding, for instance, happened and everything went. You know, you are dealing with
your village
exactly. Those things does happen. Communication will help in a way, but of course you have the obligation to pay, except the creditor forgives, and that is the bad side of debt anyway.
I'm laughing because most creditors is business, so they are not coming to do church fellowship.
Yes.
You pay them their money.
So you have to pay them their money. You can't tell them stories, but you are dealing with humans who understand and feel for people. You beg for time to pay.
So you need to communicate, explain what is happening, and reschedule your repayment plan.
Yes.
So what can he do? Okay, the farming has not worked. Does he give up on farming?
Not
because
at all.
I know somebody who says he did one round of farming, it didn't work. He says he's not doing again. Is that
no?
Should that be our attitude?
You see, that is a problem we face in this part of the world. People go into business with 100% assurance that they will succeed. But you know what? When you plan, what is certain about it is that it is uncertain. So he that stumble and come up again, is likely going to get to his destination. So
and who is not even moving at all.
Yes. So except if you are convinced beyond any reasonable doubt that the business cannot work again, based on the information that is available to you, fine and good. You can adjust and try other things. But then don't give up at first attempt. Don't give up. There's this course, Total Quality Management, that is getting it right at first attempt. But even at that, people stumble sometimes. So what is important is for you to communicate with the people you collected the debt from for more time to get their money and return to them. And we've discussed some of the means through which monies can be generated to pay back. You could plead with friends to even intervene in such circumstances.
To be able to even plead with friends to intervene or family members to intervene, you must have that currency of integrity. So in the past, the way you have handled money in the past will help you on your day of adversity.
Definitely.
So if you have not been cultivating that currency very well,
they will have reservation.
There will be big trouble when you need their help.
Definitely.
Okay, a caller coming. Okay, one more call, then we wrap up.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes. We are listening.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Hello? How are you?
Fine, thank you, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
I'm watching you straight ahead now, and I'm happy.
Okay, thank you very much.
Your program is interesting.
Thank you, sir.
It's encouraging. It's encouraging.
Thank you so much.
Allah, Christian will be encouraged not to go into debt that will bring problems in their life.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for your comment. Thank you. Okay, so we're about to wrap up.
Okay.
We've already been warned that we should shut down.
Exactly.
So we've talked about debt,
Yes.
staying out of debt,
Yes.
and then if we are in debt, how to come out. We've been told that we have to be rational beings. We must think well.
Yes.
Decide what is a necessity and what is a luxury.
Yes.
And live beneath our means, not even within our means. We should live beneath. A level 8 officer, live a level 6 life.
Yes.
You know, and if you're already in debt, tighten your belts.
Yes.
Reduce your expenses. Look for other means of income. There's no labor that is bad.
It's bad,
So far as is honorable. All labor is
Yes,
honorable.
yes.
Let's work hard
Exactly.
to make sure that we gather money to pay.
Yes.
Remembering that paying back our debt is what is expected for every Christian.
Very important.
It brings that our currency of integrity.
Integrity, yeah.
So that in our day of need, when we need that currency, it will work for us.
Come handy.
So I've been here with Ayuba, who is a PhD economics candidate. So he has a lot of information. He's given us so much today, how we can be debt-free and come out of debt if we're already there. Thank you so much, Ayuba, for
You're
being
welcome.
here.
I appreciate it.
God bless you.
Thank you so much. I
One last sentence for our viewers before we go.
Okay. In business life, two things are important: hard work and frugality.
Frugality. Break it down now,
Yes,
Ayuba. Big
to
grammar.
save.
Okay.
Save. Hard work alone without saving life is
so let's not chop all our money. Once you make, we say, it's time to enjoy. Don't eat everything. Save something so that you can have something for the rainy day, and you have money to invest in your venture or your business that you want to do. So viewers, thank you so much for being here with us. Callers, we're very grateful for your calls and your encouragement. Our desire is that as Christians, we live debt-free. And if we are owing, to pay off our debts so that we have integrity in our neighborhood and we will honor the name of the Lord. We won't bring disgrace to ourselves and to the God that we serve. God bless us all. And let's keep living and shining for Jesus, even as we stay debt-free. See you next week here again in the living room. God bless you.